Trigger warning. If you're prior service or you're in the military and you've got post-traumatic stress disorder, then you probably want to keep scrolling, because this is kind of a graphic detail of something that happened to my unit when we were deployed to Iraq in 2004. So we were in Iraq in 2004, okay? When we first went in, most of us were just young men. We'd never seen war before. We had a few veterans that went through Desert Storm and Desert Shield, but for a lot of us, this was our first time in the theater where we had war, where we would encounter combat. And I want to tell you firsthand, it was a scary moment. And if anybody ever tells you it wasn't scary to go to Iraq, then they're probably lying to you, okay? Because there were times in Iraq when we were literally in fear for our lives. But we were trained to operate efficiently regardless of what we felt inside. That being said, I'm going to tell you the story. So we were deployed into Iraq. We drove into Iraq from Camp Doha, Kuwait, and we deployed into Iraq. We get to Iraq, and like I said, we were young soldiers, man. So the majority of us had never seen combat before. So when we get into Iraq, we keep our gear on. You understand? We've got our Kevlar helmets on. We've got our flak jackets on with our armored plates. We're geared up, okay? We've got our web gear on with our 7 full magazines of ammunition. We're locked and loaded. We're ready to roll. We keep our gear on. I want y'all to understand that part, okay? That's very important, all right? And for the first few weeks that we were there, being that the enemy recognized different patches on our uniform than the people that had just deployed or just left, they wanted to test us out a little bit to see exactly what we were made out of. So we would encounter small arms fire pretty regularly, and an occasional mortar round here and there. And this went on for, I don't know, maybe the first month or two that we were there. And then things seemed to slack off a lot. We would still encounter small arms fire and stuff when we were out on our cordons and searches and our patrols of the area, especially when we were on Wild Irish. But for the most part, things had settled down a little bit, and we began to settle in. We got accustomed to the environment that we were in. You could say that we let our guard down a little bit. When we first got there, we would go to sleep wearing our uniforms, our gear. You understand? Because we didn't know what was going to pop off in the middle of the night. So if we had an opportunity to take a nap, we would keep our Kevlar helmets on, we would keep our flak vests on, we'd curl up with our rifles, and we would sleep like that. But after a few months, when things started to slack off a little bit, we started walking around without our gear on. We would still have our gear. We would go to chow, to our dining facility without our gear. Of course, we always had our rifle with us, our weapon. But when we were just walking around, sometimes we'd walk around in our PT shorts and a t-shirt, you know, with our rifle slung over our back. And it got to the point where we would stack our weapons up, and we would play hacky sack or flag football and things of that nature when we weren't out doing our searches and stuff. So everything was going pretty smoothly at this point. They just built this new dining facility, or as we call it in the military, a DFAC. And we were kind of enjoying life over there when we could. You know, we would get together, we'd play poker at night, or we'd shoot dice, or whatever the case may be. And we would have a good time when we were in our off time. We set up a tent where we could work out. We had our gym equipment and everything in there, and everything seemed to be going pretty smooth. When all of a sudden, out of the blue, on a beautiful day, we got shelled. And what that means is mortar rounds started falling into our camp. It took us all by surprise. You understand? It had been quiet for a while, and we weren't expecting what was happening. But these mortar shells started falling on our camp. One of them hit our DFAC, which that can be replaced. But one of them hit real close to our fuel truck. And a good friend of mine, his name's David, I won't use his last name. A good friend of mine, David, got hit in his forehead with shrapnel. And it really upset me. It upset a lot of us to know that we had let our guard down enough to where something like this could happen to one of our fellow soldiers. And when we looked over and we saw the blood from the crown of his head all the way to the soles of his feet, it hurt us. It hurt us bad. It made us angry. It made us really, really angry with this enemy, because what had happened was they had somebody watching us. And they saw when we let our guard down. They saw when we took our armor down, or we took our armor off, and they took advantage of that situation. The enemy waited until we let our guard down and took off our armor. Now today, David is still alive and well. He got a Purple Heart for his action over there, for his injury over there during action, and he's doing real good. We're still good friends. But that taught me something about life, not just about battle, but about life in general. Because we have a real enemy out there, and his name is Lucifer. His name is Satan. He is a real deal enemy, and he has his little demons watching us at all times, waiting for us to take our guard down, let our guard down, waiting for us to take off that armor, that full armor of God. There is a reason why Ephesians 6 is in your Bible today. A valid reason why. Ephesians 6 is in there to let us know that we have a real enemy that is waiting to attack. He's waiting to see if we're going to take that armor off and let down our guard. Because the enemy waits until he sees a crack in your armor, and that's where he attacks every single time. I don't know who this message is for, but I'm telling you today, when everything looks peaceful and everything looks smooth, today is the day you need to make sure you're wearing your armor, because the enemy's waiting for you to let your guard down. He's waiting to see that crack. I love y'all, man. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 10 through 18. Read it today. Apply it to your lives. Put on that full armor every single day. Every day. Because that enemy's waiting for the day that you take it off. I love y'all, man. Y'all preach.